Yo, what's good everybody? It's boy Eddie here and welcome back to The Experience. And for today's video, we have one of my grails, one of my favorite sneakers of all time. And what that shoe is a Nike LeBron 8 V1 in the South Beach colorway, or what the original name of the shoe was, the Preheat colorway. So before I get into the sneaker itself, let's just go over some of the details on the box. So on the top of the box, we can see a young prime LeBron James next to a lion. Next, we have some Nike checks surrounded all over the box, as you can see here. And then when we go into the front of the box, the label reads as Nike LeBron 8 Quick Strike, and the colorway shown is Retro, Black Pink Flash, Retro, Flash Rose, and Noir. And the size shown here is a size 8.5, which would be my personal size in this shoe, because back in the 2010s, 2011, 2012s, that's when the Nike Zoom era came into real effect. And a lot of the shoes that would normally fit you in your standard size, you would have to go a half size up due to the fact that that insole was pretty thick, so it would make the shoe feel tighter. So for performance reasons, some people recommend going true to size, but I would say even for performance, I would still go a half size up due to my semi-wide feet. And also the retail shown here is $200. So let's just get right into opening the box. So now let's open this box, because the details inside the box are so beautiful, man. So when we even look at the details on the inside of the box in the tray that's holding the shoes, we can actually see LeBron James doing his signature chalk celebration, which is a really cool detail to add inside the box. And when we look at the tissue paper, you can actually see the same thing going on here. And that's really what I loved about all of the old LeBron models. There was a lot of details that went into the creation of the sneaker, but also into the packaging of the box as well, which is really amazing, man. Look at that detail. And when we open this, we have the same thing on the other side. And finally, we have the most legendary, other than Jordan's, the most legendary sneaker of all time. Look how beautiful this shoe is, man. It is the most classic LeBron shoe. There's a lot of history behind what happened within the shoe and what LeBron went through. And before I get into the details of the shoe itself, let's go into the history about this shoe. So the LeBron 8 model was actually created during the time LeBron decided to take his talents to South Beach. And that's basically what this colorway right here was created for. So before we get into that, I actually want to talk about how this shoe relates to me. So around July, August time in that same summer of 2010, that's when I decided to actually collect sneakers and actually become a true sneakerhead from back in the day. So like I said before, I've been a sneakerhead for 11 years, so it's been 11 years in the making. But what's really interesting about this is the fact that I was actually in Florida when I started collecting my sneakers. So this was kind of very cool that when LeBron moved to South Beach was the same time I started collecting my sneakers. So this sneaker right here was originally called the Nike LeBron 8 Preheats, and that's what we all used to call it back in the hood and all of the sneakerheads. That was what this sneaker was named. But due to the fact that it has the Miami Vice colorways or the Grand Theft Auto Vice City colorways, if you guys are familiar with those colors, you know that this is what this shoe takes that inspiration from. So it was originally called the Preheats, but now due to the fact that everybody knows it's Miami Vice related and all of that, people just call it the South Beach colorway, which I'm cool with, but I usually still call it the Preheats due to the fact that that's what it was called around those times. So I'm really happy that I was able to catch this retro, and although it is not 100% like the original, I am happy with the product that they created. So let's get right into the details of the sneaker. So now getting into the details of the shoe, as you all can see, the upper of the shoe primarily consists of a teal green leather upper or synthetic leather upper. Next, when we go into the eyelets, we have black nubuck. And then something that differentiates between the retro and the original is that the laces on the retro actually was black. And then they had the extra lace of the pink, but everybody knows with this shoe, you shouldn't be wearing the black laces. You gotta wear it with the pink. So that's one thing I do like about what they did with the retro. Instead of starting off with the black laces, they just straight up said, yo, we putting on the pink because we know that's what you guys wanna wear. But it does come with the extra pair of the black laces if anybody actually uses this, but I doubt it. So getting back into the lateral side, we have this kind of fly wire material on the quarter panel of the shoe. I don't know if you guys are really gonna be able to catch that, but that's what this technology is the fly wire, which is used to give a more snugger fit for basketball players or whoever uses this shoe for performance. We also have this leather right here on this other part of the quarter panel. So now getting into the Nike check itself, we have this glossy plastic Nike check logo right here. However, this was actually game changing because the LeBron 7 actually had the Nike check going from the back of the shoe all the way to the middle of the shoe right here. But for the LeBron 8, they decided to make it much smaller. And then the actual check wraps around all the way to the heel tab, which we could talk about right here because on the heel tab, we have LeBron James signature as well as a Nike logo right there as well in the hyper pink colorway. So now going into the medial side of the sneaker, we actually have the Flywire logo right there in that black and pink colorway, and then the Flywire font right there in white. So as you can see, the Flywire logo is here, but it also wraps around the entire quarter panel on the medial side of the shoe. And as I said before, it's connected into this. So again, it's used to really make it break down and have a snug fit on the shoe. Then when we go into this area right here, we just have a lot of perforated holes. Although you can't see inside the shoe, it's covered by a kind of black lace or black mesh, so you can't see the inside of the shoe. But these are all perforation holes right here. And then we just have some embossed holes right here. Then when we go into the medial side of the toe box, we have this beautiful debossed Nike logo right here. And although it's pretty subtle, I really do like the fact that it's very glossy. So in certain hits of the light, it'll definitely show off the sneaker and actually make it pop a bit more. So now when we look at the midsole of the shoe, we have this beautiful black midsole. And then when we enter the outsole now, we have a very beautiful Air 360 Max unit, which was actually the first to be introduced on this exact LeBron James model. And this is what I think took his shoes to the next level in my opinion, because you had the swag and the style of the shoe, but you also had the performance factor, which was really important for basketball players back then. So then now when we go on to the outsole, we have this beautiful teal kind of outsole. And although it looks like it can glow in the dark, it does not glow in the dark, unfortunately. Now, when we look onto the traction of the shoe, we actually have a multi-directional herringbone patterns all over the shoe, which is good for traction on and off the court. Next, when we go into the middle of the shoe now, we have that LeBron James line in this kind of hyper pink for it to pop. So I guess if LeBron is dunking on somebody at that time and he had these shoes on, they would just see the back of his shoes. They wouldn't even be able to see him. Then finally, when we go onto this logo right here, I really think that this logo is really cool because to me, it represents a lot of things. So for example, the first part of this logo is obviously to represent the 8th LeBron model. So this looks like a number 8, but also this looks like an hourglass and infinity logo to me. So I believe that that's to show that this shoe, number 1, is timeless, but also LeBron doesn't age. Obviously, LeBron was more into his prime when this shoe came out, but it really just shows how timeless LeBron is. Like, he doesn't age and he's just so strong and powerful and doesn't really get injured like that he's just timeless, man. So I think that's a cool thing to have this logo right here. And that concludes the outsole of the shoe. So now going on to the top of the shoe, as you all can see, we have a black suede nubuck area on the eyelets. And when you actually look at the front of the eyelet right here, it says James, and then that's on the left shoe. So when you put it next to the right shoe now, it actually says LeBron. So when you put them together, you actually get LeBron James. Now moving up on top of the eyelets, we have some alternating eyelets here. So for the areas that do not have the Flywire, they have the regular black eyelets, but the areas with the Flywire, we actually have pink hits in the eyelet. Then when we move more up, we also have another Flywire area again, which connects to the pink eyelet, but we also have this kind of plastic teal cage surrounding it, which is pretty cool, and it also adds some pops to the shoe. Then finally, when we go onto the top of the tongue, we have one of the best details, and some people really like this and some people don't, but personally for me, I do like the textures and the design of the king line right there. And also when you look closely, you see the pink eyes right there, so it really makes the shoe pop even more. Then when you actually turn around the tongue, we get more details right here. So as you all can see, we have some words right there, and basically what it states is, it says designed and engineered to the exact specifications of Mr. LeBron James. Then we also get an 828 number. And what's interesting about that 828 number is that a lot of people don't understand what it means, but it's nothing crazy. It has nothing to do with the Miami area code because Miami's 315 anyways, but a lot of people were speculating what it means. But basically on the Nike website, you can find the exact details, but the 828 actually stood for 82 regular season games. And then in order to win the playoffs and get your finals, you have to win 28 games throughout the whole playoffs in order to get that final. So that's what the 828 means, 82 games and then 28 playoff games. So guys, I think that's going to conclude the details of this shoe right here. So overall, that concludes the review, but let me give my own personal take on it. So as I mentioned before, guys, this is definitely one of my favorite LeBron models and my favorite LeBron colorway of all time. That's no question about it. To me, the 8 and the 9s was LeBron at his pinnacle, at his best, at his prime. But also on a sneaker perspective, definitely these were his 2 best shoes ever made. So between the 8 and the 9 preheats, I'm definitely gonna give the 8s the edge due to the fact that it has more premium materials around it. But I'm not mad at the LeBron 9 preheats. Like, it's a really good sneaker, but again, I think this is the king of kings. Overall, performance-wise, I do think that the 9s are overall when it comes to performance and all that. But again, this shoe is just so beautiful, man, and there's so much nostalgia in it. But I do have to say that they did overall a good job with retroing the shoe. However, there are some minor differences between the OG and this model. I don't know what Nike issue has been with getting the colors right for the retros, but it's pretty close to the OG, but there's some finishes that don't make it look the same. So overall, the green is pretty similar, but it's way more muted. So this still is a bright shoe, but the OG was just a little bit more brighter. So like in the flywire areas, like you guys saw in the review portion of the shoe, they were actually way more glossier on the OG pair. And for some reason on this shoe, the teal is definitely bright, but it's just more muted than the OG model. But there's nothing wrong with that, because to me, they did an overall excellent job of keeping it true to its original value. So I'm okay with that, and that's just my take on the sneaker. Again, legendary shoe, 10 out of 10, nostalgia factor, colorway and everything, the history behind it, 10 out of 10, the best LeBron shoe ever made. All right, y'all, so that's gonna conclude the overall review on this shoe, so stay tuned for this on for the look. Alright, y'all, so that's going to conclude the review as well as the on for look. And other than that, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to share with your friends and your family. Make sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And if you guys seen anything that you like throughout the video, or if you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe down below and hit that notification bell. And other than that, I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.